Welcome to Pickleball 101 with Zach and Court. Pickleball was invented in 1965, but it started to take the Midwest by storm. Think of it kind of like tennis on a small scale or ping pong on a large scale. Now, how do you play pickleball, you ask? Well, it's really easy. You need some paddles, a ball, and a court. This is a standard pickleball court, and this is a diagram labeling the different components of a court. One area that is unique to pickleball is called the Non-Volley Zone, or the kitchen. The important things to know about this is that your serve cannot land in this area, and you cannot step in that area unless a ball has first bounced in it. Let's watch a rally to learn more about playing the game. Play starts with the server standing behind the baseline of their right service area and hitting the ball into the right service area of their opponent. After the serve, the ball must bounce once on each team's side before being returned. After this, the ball can be hit regardless of whether or not the ball has hit the ground. The ball can bounce no more than once before being considered a dead ball. Here's two examples of the drop serve used in pickleball. You have to serve underhanded and you have to stand behind the baseline. Serving overhanded isn't allowed, and stepping over the baseline during your serve isn't either. You cannot serve sidearmed, and you definitely cannot hit it into the net. That's called a fault. Serves into the wrong service area don't count, and serves into the kitchen don't either. Pop quiz, does this serve count? If you answer no because it bounced in the kitchen, you're right, but here's a good serve. A ball that lands in the kitchen can be played from inside or outside the kitchen. If you have stepped in the kitchen, both feet must touch outside the kitchen before playing a ball that has not bounced in the kitchen. And here's some more examples of playing near the kitchen. You must be very careful not to have a foot on the line or in the kitchen because all of this counts as the kitchen. Inappropriately playing a ball from the kitchen is considered a fault. Scoring in pickleball is fairly simple. There's no rally scoring, so you only score when you are serving. You play to 11, but you must win by 2. During the game, your score will dictate the side from which you serve. So if you have an even score like 2, 4, or 6, you'll serve from the right. Or if you have an odd score like 1, 3, or 5, you'll serve from the left. All lines are considered in bounds, and before each serve, you should state your score followed by your opponent's score. For example, if you have 7 and your opponent has 5, you will say 7-5. If you lose that rally, then it will be your opponent's serve, at which point they will say the score is 5-7. Playing doubles gets a little more complicated. Even though scoring is the exact same, now you have to include which player is serving by stating it at the end of your score before each serve. For example, if you're saying the score is 6-2-2, that means your team has 6, the opposing team has 2, and you are server number 2. To begin a game in doubles, the score will be reported as 0-0-2. For the rest of the game, each side will have a server 1 and a server 2. The reason for starting with server number 2 in the beginning of the game is to help offset the advantage of being able to serve first. If you are server 2 and your team loses the rally, the ball then goes to the other team and will start being served by server number 1. If the opposing team loses that rally, the ball then goes to server number 2 on their side. If the opposing team loses that rally, the ball comes back to your team and will start being served by server number 1. At this point, the score is reported to be 0-0-1. It's also important to know that your server number may change as the game progresses. For example, if you started the game as server number 2, but now the score is 1-3, and you're on the left side of the court, you will now be server 1 and begin serving from the left side because of the odd score. Are you confused? That's okay, we were too. It gets better when you get out on the court and start applying it. Oh, and one more thing. You're responsible for calling inbounds and out of bounds on your side of the net, and sometimes that leads to arguments. At the end of a game, You'll tap paddles with your opponent, and you'll either switch sides or you'll call it a day, pack it up, and go home.